Hello, welcome to another edition of CropLife Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of CropLife and CropLife Iron magazines. Here today with Lara Sowinski, who is, as you can probably tell from the photos behind her head, is on the road this week. So, Lara, welcome to the program from where you are, if you want to fill our viewers in.
Yes, this morning, Lara is in a very, very cold Kansas City. Woke up, it was probably like 9 degrees. When I arrived earlier this week, I've been on the road all this week, and when I flew into Des Moines on Monday night for EFC and the Agribusiness Summit, it was just below zero. So kind of took my breath away when I walked out of the airport there. But
I was to say, yeah, I've been living in California all those years, then moved to Texas, which again, I suppose on the bright side, since we're talking weather, I was reading horror stories about some of the ice events that were going on in Texas, although it sounded like it was more the center of the state. Austin, I saw quite often mentioned in the news, but nonetheless, you apparently missed all the ice going on there in Texas, so I suppose that wasn't a bad thing necessarily.
yeah, actually, I I know we're just talking weather here, but when I left Monday, I was supposed to fly via DFW, El Paso DFW to Des Moines, and everything going into DFW was closed down. So
Yeah.
thankfully, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning on Monday to change my flight going through Phoenix. So, but it looks like everything, unfortunately for our readers and listeners back east, the coldest is there. So, but hopefully I'll get home where it's nice and snugly warm, like maybe 58 degrees today. Things are looking up,
Well,
but I've had a great trip.
we'll keep our fingers crossed for you. So anyhow, you mentioned Des Moines and the EFC Systems Summit. I know I was lucky enough to be able to attend that last year when it was held a little later. It was in February last year. This year, I guess it was the end of January. And I had another commitment, which I'll be talking about in a few minutes. But if you could share with our viewers what was said at the EFC Systems Summit for 2023.
Well, actually, one of the biggest pieces of news, of course, EFC Systems is now Agribusiness. Ernie Chappell was happy. He said to kind of retire that name and move into something new, turning the page, as it were, on a new chapter for the company. It was actually a very, very good summit. Really enjoyed hearing a number of speakers. Excuse me. Ernie had a really good agenda. We heard from partners such as Barchard, Aimpoint Research. Unfortunately, Mariah from Trutera wasn't able to attend. She had car problems along the way, so Ernie stepped in for her. ProAd with the bushel. Breakouts on, excuse me, the field analytics and merchant ad. So, yeah, all in all, very, very good. Really enjoyed my time there. Also, shut down to Kansas City, and then on my way to visit two of our ag retailers from the CropLife Top 100. Had a really fantastic visit, both with MKC and Dave Spears, as well as Sims Fertilizer in Osborne. So I'm happy to tell you a little bit more about that if we have the time, but I will definitely be talking about that visit. It was just phenomenal. So
All right.
it was
Well,
great.
I think we'll reserve that for this week. But yeah, if because I know between you and I, we'll be visiting lots of ag retailers. Of course, for those who may not know, this is the 40th anniversary of the CropLife 100, and myself and Laura are visiting with several of the top 100 retailers across the country over the next couple of weeks. We've been visiting a few up until now, and they'll be doing more so in the next week or two. And yeah, I hope to have a bunch of stories to share with everybody, and videos and of course in our magazines moving forward throughout the year as we of course get ready for a big celebratory issue in December of this year. But we're getting way ahead of ourselves. So anyhow, so while you were visiting with EverAg, agribusiness folks there in Des Moines. I actually was attending the Ohio Agribusiness Association annual meeting, which was taking place just outside of Columbus, Ohio. So I went down for one of the days of that event. And as you may imagine, you mentioned, of course, technology was a big theme at the EverAg Summit. And it was as well at OABA's meeting. I had a gentleman there from Raven talking about how tech adoption is changing agriculture today. And then another session that sort of updated what's going on in the drones space from our friends at Rantizo. So again, these are two of the presentations that were made. And, of course, we'll be covering this in future issues of the magazine and also online. And I suspect when we have our Tech Hub Live event roll around in Des Moines in July, that these two topics will once again come up, maybe the same two speakers I just heard from, possibly. But one thing I did want to share is the OABA folks actually shine the spotlight a little bit on the crop protection space, and they had a Q&A session with two speakers. One was Sarah Hopper from Corteva AgriSciences. Now, Sarah joined via Zoom, so I don't have any video of her, but on the stage was our good friend from CropLife, Dave Flackney, who is with Syngenta. And here is a video clip of Dave talking about some of the challenges that are currently facing the crop protection industry.
There's three kind of components to how that plays out. You've got the EPA processes, and Sarah mentioned ESA, the Endangered Species Act, which is under some other agencies, but it also is an obligation to US EPA. We also are experiencing a lot of legal challenges, which I'm sure you hear about, and see solicitations on the TV to enter lawsuits against different chemistries and different companies. And then there's state legislative threats that for the most part, I'm not going to say that we don't have challenges in the red states either, but a lot of the more blue states tend to be a challenge trying to ban some of the technology that we use and what have you. So there's, the regulatory challenges, the legal challenges, and legislative challenges.
So that's what Dave Flackney had to say about the current challenges at the federal, state, and local level are for, bringing new products to marketplace. But there was also a question asked of the audience. Somebody wanted to know about the fact that, okay, with all these legislations, challenging in court by special interest groups for all these crop protection products, is that dampening enthusiasm and maybe finances for new product discovery coming into the marketplace? And here in this clip, a little longer clip, Dave Flackney actually addressed that very topic.
Yes, it has an impact, but it hasn't necessarily changed for those of us who are technology providers that are innovating all the time, we're still plowing dollars into the process, doing our discovery to try to find that next new novel approach to managing issues that the producer has on his or her farm. So the investment is still happening. I am going to say one thing that it can be also a threat. You think about what percentage of the marketplace is currently occupied by products that are proprietary and are, Syngenta, Bayer, Corteva, FMC products, all of the products that are in the marketplace that are still under patent, right? The one concern that I have a little bit, if you're really concerned about innovation, is the fact that as the industry attempts to find ways to, save $1 here and $1 there and buy generics, the generic companies are not out there doing the research and development to bring around new products. So that is a real decision that needs to be made by the producer and the retailer as to who are you going to support those companies that are innovating and bringing in the tools to expand your business and manage issues on the farm, or folks that aren't doing that. And, there is always a place for the generics in the system, but in reality, the innovation is coming from the basics that are bringing you new tools, and we depend on your support in order to be able to plow more funding back into that process, right? And to do more research. The uncertainty does impact the process, though. I mean, investors aren't going to throw money after a discovered product that they think has a 50-50 chance of getting through after they've spent $100 million. It might be a very novel product, but if there's any risk of it not making it through the process, they may choose to scrap it and move on to another one that can. So that is a constant decision that's being made as to which products are we going to invest in for the long term.
So that's what Dave had to say regarding some of the challenges when it comes to bringing a new product to marketplace, especially when the possibility of that product being challenged by someone and maybe never making it to market to recoup its investment. Definitely he thinks that could be a hindrance to new product innovation coming into crop protection going forward. Well, one other thing to share, of course, I know, Laura, this is, as we are doing this video, we are, of course, knee-deep in writing stories for our March copy for the magazines. And one of the things we're putting out in March, as we've done the last few years, is a biologicals special report. That'll be an outsert from the magazine, that a polybag with it, and we'll be looking at the various trends and market drivers in biologicals. And of course, one of the things we've seen recently is the biological space has been very active when it comes to some of the traditional crop protection companies getting involved in that space. And this week we found out there was another, I guess you would say, jump into that pond. Our friends at Valent Biosciences actually have purchased FBSciences, which is pretty well known for its biorationals line and biostimulants. And Ted Melnick, who is the president and CEO of Valent, had this to say regarding that acquisition. Said, this acquisition of FBSciences is a natural step for us in the evolution of our organization as a global leader in biorationals. So again, here's another traditional crop protection company that is now going to be jumping in with both feet with the biological space, with this purchase of FBSciences. So, all right. No comments on that, Laura?
No.
No? Okay. All right, very good. I know you're anxious to get to the quiz because you are on a roll and you want to see if you can maintain.
Does it show?
It does. All right. It is time for fun with numbers. All right. Well, we have a percentage for you this week, my friend. So get ready. Your percentage is 60%.
Okay.
All right. Now, is 60% A, the percentage of global beef production China imported during 2020 and 2021? Is it B, the percentage of global soybean production that China imported during 2020 and 2021? Is it C, the percentage of global corn production China imported in 2020 and 2021? Or is it D, the percentage of time I spent in my rent-a-car on my last road trip? And given what you've been doing this week, I'm sure you can appreciate the timing there.
I was going to say, actually, I will say one thing. Kansas has the most impeccably maintained highways.
I do remember that. I've driven through there. Yeah, it is very nice.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I was driving a very small car, engine the size of a lawnmower, and had a side wind coming along and trying to go 75 miles an hour, and Thank God the roads were in good shape. So yeah, anyway, I digress. So I'm going for B, soybeans.
You are still on a roll, my friend. Yes. This was in a presentation from our friend David Widmer from AEI. He was giving a talk at the OABA meeting on the farm economy in 2023, and he was mentioning the fact of how much, and I didn't realize this, how much of global agricultural production is consumed by China. And he threw up some percentages for different categories. And yes, soybeans, 60% of what is produced globally goes to feed the Chinese and take care of their needs. So for soybean, which is very, very impressive. If you're wondering, corn, it was about 13 to 15%, which is up slightly over the last few years. And then beef production, I was surprised. It's 30%. I know that, when I think of protein consumption in China, I think more chicken and pork. But I know that a few years ago, they had some issues with African swine flu, and that did decrease the number of pig herds they had in the country. So it sounds like as an alternative, Chinese are now consuming a little bit more beef than they ever have. So anyhow, that was the information that David shared, so I thank him for that. And again, congratulations. So far this year in 23, I'm about to make these questions a little harder because you are really not having much trouble with these at all.
Well, that's because I know what I'm talking about here, Eric.
It helps as you get to know things in the market. Yes, I agree. All right. Well, my friend, I hope you have a safe journey home. And for our viewers, of course, hope you enjoyed this week's video. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks for joining us. Take care. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.